Hey guys, what's up? There are only two here. And recently on Reddit I offered to do replay reviews for anybody who's interested in having their Kindred gameplay looked over. And Shirazawa here, our Kindred today, answered and linked me a replay and asked me to look over it. And he specifically asked me about his mid game and about what to build. So we'll take a look at that. Now to start off, just want to take a quick look at the different team comps and of what the goal of these team comps are. So here in the red corner on Shirazawa's team we have pretty strong protect the carry comp. We have the Lulu and the Nunu who are both able to buff up Caitlyn and just make her into even more of a late game monster than she already is. Combine that with Kindred also offering great DPS and Kindred being able to protect Caitlyn with her ultimate. And we have really strong comp to protect the Caitlyn. The Echo doesn't really fit in that well since it's an AP Echo middle, but the assassination of Echo and the CC is still very valuable. On the other hand here, we also have pretty strong late game AD carry in Tristana. And again, we also have some very nice buffing for the Tristana with the Morgana shield and the Sona auras and healing. I'm actually not sure if this is Sona middle or Morgana middle. I'm actually thinking it might be Sona mid because Morgana here is running exhaust. That's very interesting. We also have Rengar, which is a champion that Shirazawa asked me to talk a bit about as well, because he usually has problems going up against Rengar, which is something I can definitely agree with, because after level 6, Rengar can really just start snowballing and taking control of the game, because it's very hard for your laners to escape his ganks, and he deals a lot of damage, so he can just snowball out of control. In theory, in the late game, Lulu and Shirazawa here with his ultimate should be able to protect Caitlyn from the Rengar, but it may be possible for Rengar to just snowball out of control and end the game basically before it even gets to that late game. So in general, what should be kind of the goal? Where should you in general gank in a game like this? Now, first of all, Nunu is a champion that doesn't really need a lot of gold to function. His W, so the buffing for Caitlyn, the attack speed buff, as you can see here, doesn't scale with anything. That means that even if Nunu doesn't have any gold, the buffing he offers is still the same, and the slow from Ice Blast and the slow from his ultimate doesn't scale with any AP either. So it's not that important for Nunu to get fed. On the other hand, it still isn't bad to gank top, of course, especially against the Yasuo, because this means that you can shut down the Yasuo, which is of course also something you really want to happen. It should be pretty important to gank the Caitlyn, because the Nunu is really only strong if he has a strong AD carry to protect. So ganking for Caitlyn would be a good idea, but of course having a fed AP Echo obviously isn't a bad thing either. On the enemy team, probably good idea to try to shut down the Yasuo, as I already mentioned. Then if it's actually Sona mid, as I'm suspecting, it would also probably be a good idea to gank her, simply because Sona mid is very squishy and doesn't have an escape. Bot lane may be a bit harder to gank with the Morgana and the Tristana, which is unfortunate because we already mentioned we want to gank for Caitlyn, so that may not be possible. But we obviously have to see how this game plays out. Okay, so let's just start the replay and just skip the first part. Okay, so we start off with some nice little AFK action. So, but obviously, CEV. Okay, nice. He got back in time, so it doesn't really matter.
30 seconds until minions spawn.
I'll go and set the camera on following Kindred. You can see it's 1 minute and he hasn't marked anybody yet. Okay, now he marked the Rengar. So it's probably usually the best idea to just start the game and immediately mark someone, because your passive has a 90-second cooldown, and if you immediately mark someone as soon as the game starts, then your passive is back up, and if you ever want to switch your passive's target, you're free to do so. It's obviously not a very important thing, but it's still something to look out for if you want to optimize your game. Okay, so what I really want to take a look at here is how well he kites, because that is extremely important for Kindred Jungle. Now, obviously with the Gromp, it doesn't matter as much, because Gromp is ranged, it's very hard or almost impossible to kite it. It's more important when we're going to the blue buff, because it's extremely easy to kite the blue buff, and it's also extremely easy to take a lot of damage doing blue if you don't kite it. So let's take a look at what happens here. Oh boy. Oh boy. Okay, this is a bit weird to me. So we see he doesn't use his W. Okay, I think what may be happening here is maybe he's just talking to someone in real life, or talking on the phone or something, or is lagging. I don't know. That would really be the only explanation why he doesn't use his W. Okay, and then he uses it when the camp is almost dead. So obviously, I really think that this is probably something to do with just being not paying 100% attention to the game, maybe talking on the phone, as I said. Of course you want to activate your W as soon as the camp starts, because we see now W has a pretty long cooldown. So now W is still on a 13-second cooldown when he's starting the blue buff. So you just want to activate the W right at the start. Also because you want to make sure that you have it back up again as soon as possible, and because you want to deal the maximum amount of damage to the ground. Okay, so let's see how well he kites the blue buff. You already see, because he activated his W so late, even though Caitlyn and Lulu gave him a really good leash, he's still really low at the moment. Wait a second, let me just quickly organize this here. We can. It's actually the Sona Mid. That's very interesting. Let's see how this plays out. Okay, so okay, let's keep going. Okay, this is looking a bit better, but not really. He's kiting pretty well. It's okay, I guess. But he's already, of course, pretty low already from doing the Gromp so badly. And you can kind of kite the camp. Okay, let's see. You can kite the camp a lot better. The thing is, between kiting, if you just walk around and stand and keep standing in front of the blue buff, then you're not really saving any damage. So if we look at this again, here, then we see that he is kiting, but he's still standing inside the blue buff's range, inside the auto attack range. In this case, sometimes also he's doing a bit better. So you need to focus more on always running out of the auto attack range while kiting, so the blue buff can't actually hit you and you save a lot more HP. Okay, so walking over. And that was actually really smart. Trick you can generally use on Kindred. When you're running past the camp and you have 100 W stacks, you can just quickly attack the camp for a second and then just run away without getting, and the camp probably won't even damage you. So you have a little bit more HP. It's especially important if you're so low. You could have done the same thing here with the Wraiths. I'm not sure why he chose not to. Okay, so let's see. Warding here is also a good idea, especially because you are so low. In this case, Rengar here is also pretty slow with his jungling and only just finishes red, but you can't know that. He could have tried to invade you. So it's a smart idea to place this ward down here. Okay, so there's some good kiting. Obviously really low. Can this camera please just follow Kindred? Thank you very much. So, okay, so now an interesting question is whether to go for this mark or not. It seems like he's on his way to go for this mark, and obviously there are kind of pros and cons to each option. So on one hand, you might have noticed that you have to kind of ask yourself the risk against the reward. So obviously the reward is pretty good. You really want to stack up your passive as fast as you can, because a large part of Kindred's damage comes from the passive. But of course you don't want to die while taking this mark either. So you have to kind of ask yourself if it's worth it to go there, especially when you are so low. And you have to also take into account the position of your laners. For example here, Sona is going back. So if you've noticed this, then you know that basically when you fight in this area here, then you're pretty safe, because Sona can't help you, can't help Rengar, while Echo can help you. And on the other hand, here on the top lane, we see that the wave is about to hit the turret. That means that Nunu can't really help you, because he has to take this wave, and he can't just run past the wave, because then he takes a lot of damage from the minions. Yasuo, on the other hand, is pretty low, but he would be free to come and fight you here. So you have to kind of watch out and be especially careful if the enemy laner leaves his lane and you see him going miss. An important trick you can use while doing the scuttle crab, so I start up again here, is the scuttle crab's AI means it will always run away from you. That means that if instead of attacking, when you attack it here, you see scuttle crab runs away and runs up the river. And we already said that mid lane is currently safe. Sona is back, Echo is here, and full HP. Top lane is very unsafe. We have Nunu, who is under his turret and can't help you, and we have Yasuo, who is miss. You also have to remember that when you're going up the river, if you're here, then your escape path is pretty long, and here, if you just go this way, you're pretty safe already if you just go to your Wraiths. Again, also to the safety of Echo. So it would probably be a smart idea, instead of just attacking the camp here, would be to jump behind the camp and let the camp then run away this way here, so you can fight the camp in this area where you're safe. Another thing I wanted to take a look at. Let's see. Okay. So, what I want to take a look at is, let's see. Okay, this right here. You see he started off with his E, which is not a good idea, because your E is actually an auto attack reset. What that means is, if you auto attack and then immediately cast your E, you reset your auto attack timer and can auto attack immediately again. That means that what he did here was he E'd and auto attacked. In the same time, you can also auto attack, E auto attack, and obviously 2 auto attacks are going to deal more damage than 1 auto attack, unsurprisingly. So that's something you basically always want to do. You want to auto attack, E auto attack. In most cases, for example, if you're ganking someone and you're barely in range for an auto attack or an E, it's obviously more important to apply the E slow than it is to auto attack. But if you have the possibility, if you're fighting someone 1v1, it's better to auto attack, apply your E, and then auto attack again, just because of the auto attack reset. It's the same thing with something like Trundle Q, where you want to auto attack Q, and then immediately you auto attack and you Q. There are a ton of auto attack resets in the game, and this is just one of them. And it's kind of not obvious that it is an auto attack reset, but it is, and you have to use it that way. So again, would be a good idea to do that, so you can do it a bit faster, and it would also be a good idea to aggro it from behind, so it runs down this way, and you're safe here. So, and we see now Yasuo leaving his lane, and he obviously knows that you're going here because it's marked. So, let's see what happens here. Okay. So, you also notice that if you cast your W zone, and the Skull Crab can just run out of it. So again, if you do the trick with the Skull Crab AI, where you bait it, you can basically cast your W here, have this area be your W, and let the Skull Crab stay in this area for the entire duration, which obviously deals a lot of damage to it. Okay, so you have to kind of watch out because you left your W zone here, and obviously you're a lot stronger when fighting in your W, so it may not be a good idea to just leave the W zone. It would be probably better to stay inside of it. In this case, you see Yasuo used his Wind Wall, so you can actually, you are very able to kill Yasuo here, so let's see what happens. Okay, you focus on the mark, maybe a bit risky. This is not very good. Okay, you definitely could have won this fight if you played that 100% correctly. So, first of all, kind of tunnel vision on the... You also Q... First of all, so the first thing that happened here is you left your W zone, which is not really something you want to do, especially in this case, because you know Yasuo wants to come at you and kill you. So if you just stay in your W zone, you know he's going to come for you. Then you focus on the Scuttle Crab, which is pretty debatable, because Yasuo is currently standing in front of you and hitting you. You could kill him, and instead you focus on the Scuttle Crab. Yes, it's marked, but it's probably more important to try to kill Yasuo than it is to get the Scuttle Crab mark. So then you see here, I mean, and we already saw the end of the fight, and we saw that Yasuo was extremely low. So during this fight, what you do is, so when you start seeing Yasuo, so here you start fighting Yasuo, you also Q into his direction, which is a bit risky, because of course you want to have the maximum distance from Yasuo. But what I mean is, see, here you auto attack, here you auto attack the Scuttle Crab, here you auto attack the Scuttle Crab, again. So you auto attack the Scuttle Crab twice, and we already see how this fight pans out. If we look at this fight, in the second you die, he's at 145 HP. So if you simply auto-attacked him twice instead of auto-attacking the Scuttle Crab twice, and you actually, you got the Scuttle Crab, but if you auto-attacked him twice instead of auto-attacking the Scuttle Crab twice, you would have killed him, and then you could have taken the Scuttle Crab afterwards. So it was probably a bad idea to tunnel on him there. The next important thing is kiting. This was already kind of an issue when doing the camps here, and is even more important here. So, during this fight, we see, what we see here is, apart from the tunnel vision on that, okay, so here, you finally decide to start fighting the Yasuo. So what do? First of all, you start off with your E again, instead of using the auto-attack E auto-attack reset. Again, because he was so low at the end of the fight, this auto-attack reset may have been enough to win yourself the fight. And then, what we see here, if we slow it down all the way, you're standing still in front of Yasuo. You're making it very easy for him to auto-attack you. You're making it very easy for him to hit you with his Q. And it's just all around a really bad idea. You should instead, every time, this should basically be your second nature. It should be something you always do. Every time you auto-attack, kite. Cancel the auto-attack animation and run around, or not really run around, but move a little bit during the time where you can't attack anyways. Okay? So, again here, if you would have stayed out of his range, you may have been able to survive this. You also cancel your auto-attack here, maybe because he runs into the brush. Not sure. Okay, so there are definitely a few things you could have done to play this fight better and to actually kill this Yasuo. Instead, you're currently pretty behind now. Your Rengar isn't doing that well either, because he has to go back. But on the other hand, you're still 4 farm behind against Rengar. And Kindred is supposed to be way better at jungling in the early game than Rengar. Rengar really only starts becoming extremely strong once he reaches level 6. Okay, so let's see what you do to bounce back from this. Because at the moment you're a bit behind and you need to do something, try to do something. Okay, let's see what you buy. Okay, obviously the Hunter's Machete, you still have 400. Oh no. Oh, A Hunter's Potion. I don't know about this. I know that some people really like it. I'm not a big fan, simply because if you watch some of the other gameplay videos I have, I think there are 2 up at the moment, where I also play Kindred Jungle, to just shamelessly plug them here. You notice that I still have a pretty nice mana and health sustain, or what I mean pretty nice, I'm basically full HP when jungling, especially once you get your jungle item. So it's kind of questionable if you really need the Hunter's Potion to have enough sustain in the jungle. To be fair, it is true that if you're not that good at kiting and you haven't and you're a bit more inexperienced on Kindred, then it's a good idea to just buy the Hunter's Potion, because Hunter's Potion means that you basically don't lose any HP, even if you don't kite at all. But it's 250 gold. It's 250 gold further away from your jungle item, 250 gold further away from maybe boots, and 250 gold further away from getting a red smite. And red smite is extremely important to get on Kindred because of the 20% damage reduction. Okay, but maybe it is possible in this situation, for example, to say I'm a bit behind, so I get myself a Hunter's Potion so I can kind of power farm the jungle. So just continue to. It's pretty straightforward. Okay, you're going to invade. This is a bit, or it's kind of risky. I don't know what the plan here is. Okay, you're just gonna put a ward down. You kind of have to remember that you're a bit behind. So you just spend all the time running from here, down here, down here, to place a ward down, and then run all the way back. And this time you could have probably also cleared the camp here, and then probably already gone halfway down here to go to your boss and your gromp, and for this mark here as well. So obviously it's good to have vision control, but you kind of have to ask yourself what the opportunity cost is. What am I giving up by going here and placing this ward down? And what you're giving up is a camp, probably worth about 100 gold, and of course a lot of experience as well, since you're only level 3 at this second. So it's kind of questionable. Go over to your mark. Good idea. Again, you could kite the camp so it stays in, or manipulate the AI so it stays inside of your W, just to kill it faster. But this is not completely wrong. You also want to move around while doing the camp. Again, it doesn't really matter because you have the Hunter's Potion, but your W stacks up while moving and while attacking, but it stacks up way faster if you cancel your auto attack animation and then just kite the camp. That means that you will have more HP, and it's not that important again if you have Hunter's Potion, but if you don't, it's pretty important to do that the entire time. So just continue from the jungle. I speed up through all these sections because it's not really that important. So let's see what you buy here. You have 600 gold, so that should be enough for, best idea would probably be to get the Skirmisher Saber, the Red Smite, and probably a dagger to continue jungling. Oh boy. Oh boy. Okay, so let's talk about this. So first of all, Boots of Speed. Again, I said I would probably buy a dagger in this situation here. Boots of Speed are not completely horrible or mean that you're a bad player or something. It's not bad to get boots here at all. So that's not really, that's pretty debatable. But the Tracker's Knife. No. Really don't. It's a bad idea. Tracker's Knife is obviously not a horrible item, but it's a lot better on junglers that are not looking to fight. For example, someone like Zac. He doesn't want to go invade and fight the enemy jungler 1v1. He's looking for the big team fights, the big skirmishes, where he can use his CC. So for him, it's a good idea to ward his jungle, and in order to also not get invaded himself, and so on. For Kindred, really what you do is you fight. You try to search out these 1v1s, to search out these fights, because Kindred is so strong in these early fights. And you have to remember that the red smite is extremely potent. It gives you a true damage dot that also reveals the enemy, so if they walk into a brush or flash over a wall, you can still see them. And the true damage dot deals quite a lot of damage actually. And it gives you, when you smite the enemy, 20% damage reduction. 20% is insane when it comes to damage reduction. It's basically, you remember, for example, the Phantom Dancer. The Phantom Dancer passive is already really strong at helping you survive, and Phantom Dancer passive is only 12% damage reduction. The red smite gives you 20% on the enemy you smite. So it's really, on Kindred, I don't see any situation where you should buy the Tracker's Knife. Maybe if you're insanely behind, but by insanely behind I mean if you were level 2 and had 3 farm, then maybe. But not in this situation. Okay, so run back to lane, do the camp here. Okay, so as I said, just gonna speed up through these parts. I'm not really talking too much about the other lanes. This lane is pretty weird, because first of all, for some reason you have a Nunu top lane, which is a bit, at the very least, let's call it off meta. It's probably pretty bad, but it can work, obviously. I haven't mentioned this yet, but this is around Silver 4 MMR, at least that's Zero's rank. So this is not really, so, and obviously in Silver 4 you can play whatever you want if you're good at it. I mean, even in Diamond you can play some off meta stuff. I've also seen Nunu top lanes succeed once or twice. So but Nunu top lane should probably not be able to kill Yasuo in 1v1. That's very weird. I'm not really talking too much about the other lanes, because it's simply, we're talking, the important point here is your gameplay and not what the teammates here are doing, because we're not trying to say, oh, elo hell or something like that. We're trying to find what you can improve in your gameplay to help you climb. So again, not just standing still. If you weren't just standing still while doing that, you would probably be full HP. And again, you lost almost 200 HP doing the raves here, which is really not something that should happen, especially with a Hunter's Potion. So this is really not. You should just kite. Always kite. There's no reason to not do it. Okay, so just take the Scuttle Crab, it's a good idea. So another thing that should be important to note here is that if we go back a little bit, okay, so here, and if we take a look at what Rengar does, you just saw Rengar being bot here, and he just went back and was pretty low. So that's something you should just always take a note of. You kind of, with every jungler, you always want to kind of keep track of where the enemy jungler is. So whenever you see the enemy jungler on the map, you know, for example, you saw in bot lane, that means, okay, he can't be in his topside jungle. That means that, for example, this would be an opportunity to go in and just take one of his camps. It's important on every jungler, but it's even more important on Kindred, because you want to stack up your marks. So, for example, here, a few seconds later, Rengar just left base. So that means, for example, you could have gone in here, taken the wolves, taken the Grom, for example. again, not horrible, but there's always, I'm just mentioning some of these things I'm mentioning are just small things but all of these small things add up. For example, obviously you're not going to win the game from taking one wolf camp here, but if you take 5 wolf camps here, then that if you take 5 wolf camps or 5 camps over the duration of the game, that means that Rengar has 1 item less, or not 1 item, but maybe 2 long swords less, and then again this means that you may survive a 1v1 against them, and all of these small things add up. For example, kiting the Wraves probably and having 200 HP more adds up with Rengar having 1 less longsword, and all of these small things adding up, auto attack resetting with the E and all these things, they all add up and may mean that you can win the fight. Okay, so let's see what the plan is here. Kind of looks like you're maybe thinking about going to invade the Wraves. Place a ward down here, good idea. Another one down there, good. Oh, interesting, okay. A solo Drake here. It should actually be pretty close because you don't have you don't have your jungle item yet, or you don't even have the small dagger or the longbow, I think it's called. Again, this is something with the Hunter's Potion and the Boots of Speed. Boots of Speed, 300 gold. Hunter's Potion, 250 gold. So 550 gold. If we add 550 gold to what you have here, you could instead have your Tracker's Knife and a longbow, or whatever the item is called, in your inventory, and you would probably deal a lot more damage, and especially deal a lot more damage to this Drake. Okay, so it should actually be pretty close, because you're only level 5 as well, so be interested if this works out. Again, you're just standing still. You're just standing still when you're not using your Q. And you really want, if you move around, you see here, it's on 66. Just go back a bit. Okay, so okay, place the wards down here, start the Drake. Okay, so what I want you to look at is, got the sound. What you look at is here. You have 11 stacks of Hunter's Vigor. I think this may be a bit hard to see on YouTube. So 11 stacks. The auto attack, you have 16 stacks. The auto attack again, you have 21 stacks. Oh god, the sound is a bit weird. Wait a second. I'm just gonna turn that down a bit. Sorry about that. Again, if you moved around instead while doing this, you have 21 stacks and so on. If you turn it up a bit. If you moved around while doing this, you would stack your W up faster and you would heal up faster, and you wouldn't get so low while doing the Drake. So again, 41. It just goes up 5 every time you auto attack. But if you move between each attack, you can probably stack it up by 10 between every auto attack and heal twice as much. So this actually gonna be pretty close. See, now you kind of start moving a bit. Okay, not really. Again, E auto attack to get the auto attack reset. Okay. You also don't have smite up. I don't know if did you smite earlier or did you just not have it up? Okay. Yeah, you see your smite is on a 40-second cooldown. So this Dragon Call, I'm not sure about it. It obviously works out in this case. You get the Drake basically for free. What you lose is just a few camps you could have taken instead, but it's really risky because you don't have smite up. I mean, in theory, Morgana could just go here, throw a Q over the wall, and then your Drake would be lost. You also don't know if the Drake is even warded. There could just as well be a ward here, or here, or here, or anywhere, and this would basically just be a free kill for Rengar and a free Dragonsteel. So if you want to solo Drake, especially you have to remember that this Drake isn't really that important. It's just movement speed out of combat. That's really not extremely important. If it was a fire Drake maybe, but again, if you want to solo Drake, probably it's a better idea to do it when you have a bit more items. So when you have your Blood Razor complete, or if you have your jungle item and the longbow, and do it when you have a pink ward, and place the pink ward, just place it down here or here, and just clear the camp of any wards, and then you can start to solo Drake. Because this is really, really risky. Okay, so again, don't just stand still and auto attack, kite, kite, and kite. I can't stress it enough. Also, doing Drake without having smite up is extremely risky. So, okay, so you're kind of scared of Rengar here. I can understand that since you're so low. Just go back. Okay, so keep farming probably. Yes, okay, go back. Again, not moving between auto attacks and losing HP because of it. Okay, so another thing, we kind of have to, okay, your team is fighting down here, winning the fight, so that's pretty good. Traded, actually it's a 2-for-2 trade, but now Caitlyn can just push down this wave and maybe deal some damage to the turret. On the other hand, Sona has free farming mid. But what I want to say is, at this moment, you have 0 successful ganks as Kindred. And Kindred is really strongest in the early game, and Rengar might even get another gank off here in the top lane. Okay, no. That means that you don't have any early pressure as Kindred, basically the early pressure jungler, the best there is. And that's really a bit concerning about the general happenings in this game, because that's not something you want to happen. Okay, so, but you do have a smart idea here. You see Rengar is top, and what I already mentioned earlier, you see Rengar is top, so you can go into his jungle and take a few camps for free. Sadly, you're a bit unlucky here that nothing is actually up, so you basically just have to run back out. With the Scuttle Crabs, what we have to remember as Kindred is, Kindred is really not very good at doing Scuttle Crabs. Scuttle Crabs are very easy to do if you have hard CC in your kit, because CC on Scuttle Crabs lasts twice as long and doubles the damage they take. That means that if you're someone like, for example, Skarner with his E, Nocturne with his Fear and so on, who can CC the monsters, then you can do them pretty quickly. Kindred can't. So you see, you take quite a long time to do the Scuttle Crab. Obviously Scuttle Crab is also important for vision, but you already got vision here. So it may be, if you instead took the Grom, you would probably do it faster and get more gold for it. Of course, okay, never mind what I just said. Since you got the stack from it. Okay, so fight against the Sona here. Let's look at that again. For some reason I can't pause the game anymore, so that's a bit sad. Okay, that's very interesting. Maybe. Okay, this is pretty weird that I can't pause the game anymore. So, kind of a 1v1 with the Sona, because you didn't know that this brush was warded. Okay, so go in towards her. Again, you could have auto-attack reset with the Q, with the E. Then, okay, Sona flashes away, and you kind of waste your ult. I mean, Sona, she already ran away. She couldn't really deal any damage to you. So I guess again, this kind of a waste of an ult. Also, when you were auto-attacking, if we go back again here, so while you were auto-attacking here, while fighting the Sona, we look at this again. Here we go. Yep. You're just standing still, and that means that again, see, you have to run up to her and to try and hit her in this case. But if you instead walked between each auto attack a little bit, you could have dealt a bit more damage to her. Obviously, in this case, it didn't really matter because you couldn't have killed her anyways. But that's not always true. So really, always kite. There's no reason not to do it, and every reason to do it. Okay. So See how this fight in mid pans out. Okay, so nothing really happens. You can go back to farming, take your Gromp. Yeah, okay, he's dead. You go back instead. I'm not sure why you're going back instead of just taking the camp down. Doesn't really cost you anything to just take the camp real quick and then go back. You buy a pink board here, which is a really good idea. But again, it's 12 minutes in the game. You're level 6, which is pretty low, and you don't even have your jungle item complete, so you're really, really far behind. And part of the reason for that is that, first of all, you're not ganking enough, but you're also not farming enough somehow. And this is partially because of things like doing, I guess, too many scuttle grabs sometimes, and also not using every opportunity you have to farm. For example, here, you were standing here, 2 camps were up, and you wanted to go back anyway, so you can just do the camp, and why not? Doesn't hurt you. Okay. Okay, so here we try to gank the Sona. So she's pretty low, so this seems like a really good gank. Okay, again here. So okay, so let's see how this pans out. Again here, you're just standing still, not. Oh, you cancelled your auto attack, I think. Okay, so if we rewatch this small fight here. Okay, so you do the wolves here, you walk over to mid, good. Okay, so you mark Sona, this is a good idea because you know she can't really get away. Okay, so you start the fight, and again, what I want you to look at is, you see here, your Q, when you jump in here, what you want to do is basically you want to cut off Sona's way. So it means that when you use your Q here, what you do is you jump straight at her. Okay, you saw that? Instead, you could have jumped this way, and this means that you'll be in range to auto attack her for longer. Okay, so then you cancel your auto attack, which is a bit. Of course, you don't want that to happen. In this case, it doesn't really matter because she dies anyways. You also get your mark, which is pretty good. But again, always kite between auto attacks. It makes chasing easier. It just I can't stress this enough. This is really the most important thing of playing an AD carry or just playing a marksman like Kindred. Actually, okay. It's kind of funny that the trick to hitting the Q over the wall is you see here the wall is thickest, or it's the least thick here. So you basically want to stand here, aim here, and then Q. Okay. So okay, here you actually did the auto attack reset kind of on the blue buff. So that was pretty good. Okay. See, this is what I mean. This is the kiting you always have to do, not just sometimes when you're doing the small camp. Always. Okay. So again, you're going back to not doing it. I don't know why. You just did it. You just did it perfectly, and then you just stop. And it's really sad to look at because you could be basically full HP at this point. Instead, you're low. Or not really low, but you're at. You're missing 200 or 300 HP. And again, okay, you've actually gotten one gank at this time, but this is kind of the way that Rengar can win these games. He can just if you don't have enough pressure before level 6, because before level 6, Kindred's ganks are a lot stronger than Rengar's. After level 6, when Rengar has his ultimate up, obviously his ganks are a lot stronger. It means that you really want to make something happen before level 6. Obviously you were also kind of unlucky with the Yasuo killing you, or not really unlucky, you could have killed him, but that meant you were pretty behind. But still, you don't really want to get out pressured as Kindred, because Kindred is really, I mean, Kindred isn't bad in the late game, but obviously early game is really her strong suit. So keep farming. The Drake is also up in 20 seconds. It's an Infernal Drake, so it's actually quite important. So you should probably just try to get it. Since your team just killed the Rengar, this is basically free dragon for you, which is really good for you. But again, it's also kind of something that was what your team did. Okay, so take the Drake. You didn't smite it. It's a bad idea. Obviously, I mean, in this case, you did have a ward here, so you knew that they weren't coming for you to steal it. But really, it's just a bad habit to have to not smite. Always try to smite at the correct time. There's no reason not to. I mean, and in this case they don't have any global ultimates, but I'm not sure if you thought to yourself, okay, they don't have any global ultimates, so I don't have to hit my smite, or if you just didn't hit the smite. Okay, so itemization. Actually, there's still this weird bug that for some reason I can't pause, so give me a second. I'll just restart the replay. We were at 16 minutes. Okay, so 1 second. Okay, so let's go here. Command prompt. So, and copy paste this. So, and just restart the replay. I hope this fixes this bug, because that's pretty weird to have. It's because I really want to pause so I can talk a bit more about the build. Okay, so while we're in the loading screen, we can already talk a bit about this. So looks like you're going for a Blade of the Rune King, and this is probably a really bad idea in this case. So first of all, the problem is, okay, so let's can we pause? Ah, nice, we can pause again. Hopefully it still works when we it's still loading. Okay, hopefully the replay, the pausing still works when we're at 15 minutes. Okay, so what the big game is, skip back to the part where we were at it was 16 minutes, I think. So 11:30. So Blade of the Rune King. Two things you have to remember. Let me just sort this again real quick. Blade of the Rune King is basically just a stronger version of your Bloodrazor. In some sense. Obviously, Blade of the Rune King offers lifesteal and the active effect, but the percent health damage and the attack speed is the same. So they're kind of similar items, which kind of makes sense to buy both of them. If one of them is good, the other should be too, right? But on Kindred, there are really better items. You also have to remember, do you really want to have, is percent health damage really the most important thing? Oh god, I forgot that the Sona was middle again. So is percent health damage really the most important stat you can have against the enemy team? So let's just look at all of them. So top lane, Yasuo. It's Yasuo. He's not going to build a Warm, he's not going to build any, or not really any health, maybe Triforce, but that's it. So percentage health is not really the best thing against Yasuo. Then we go to the mid lane, Sona. Sona is one of the lowest HP champions in the game. He's actually building a little bit with a catalyst, but really Sona doesn't. You don't want to counter Sona with your Blade of the Rune King. Blade of the Rune King isn't good against Sona. Then jungler. Can we pause now? Ah, sweet, we can pause again. Ah, I love it. Rengar, of course, not, and no HP. He's not building any HP. Then bot lane, Tristana, nope. Morgana, nope. There's no reason to get a Blade of the Rune King here. I actually think there are barely any cases where you should get a Blade of the Rune King. Maybe some edge cases where it's like a Trundle support or Mundo top or something like that, and a tank jungler. But there really needs to be a lot of tankiness in the enemy team if you want to buy a Blade of the Rune King. You also have to remember that Blade of the Rune King is an extremely expensive item. It costs, I think, more than 3,200 gold. And really, a way better idea on Kindred is to buy Runan's Hurricane. Hurricane is an extremely core, it's basically the most core item on Kindred, apart from your, maybe your Blood Razor, or maybe even more important. It's just, Hurricane is really an insane item on Kindred. So, in general, Hurricane is a good item if you have strong on-hit effects. For example, Caitlyn buys Hurricane because her passive stacks up faster if you buy Hurricane. So, Hurricane is a good item on here. Kog'Maw is another one who buys a Hurricane because he has strong on-hit effects with his W. Other champions, for example, Kayle used to buy it because she bought Rageblade. Tristana used to buy it with the Rageblade. So whenever you have strong on-hit effects, you want to buy this item. So, what about Kindred? Kindred has extremely strong on-hit effects. First of all, your passive. Your passive, you currently have 4 hunts complete, and 4 hunts is pretty, or not, it's not pretty low for this point in the game, but you will get a lot more in the duration of this game, I think. And in late game, it's pretty common actually to have like, for example, 8 stacks. And 4 stacks is already 5% of the enemy's current health, which is really a lot. I mean, it's basically, it's pretty similar to your Blood Razor actually. Blood Razor even is only 4%. Okay, obviously Blood Razor is maximum health and this is current health. Current health is obviously a lot worse than maximum health, but still, it's an extremely strong hit effect. This basic attacks deal 4% of the target's maximum health and bonus physical damage on hit. Also applies with your Hurricane. Really, second item Hurricane is the way to go. If you're behind, you can think about getting a Sterix Gauge if they have a lot of burst, a lot of AD burst, like for example Rengar, or you can buy more Hex Drinker and then more of Mortiers, like Rengar does here, if the enemy team has a lot of magic damage burst. Okay, so let's keep going. So that's really the common build. Blair's Rune King's second item is really not that good. Also, you may think that you need the Vampiric Scepter, but the main reason that you lost HP before when jungling isn't that you didn't have lifesteal, it's that you didn't kite properly. I'm sorry. If you switch doing that, you'll see that you don't even really need the Vampiric Scepter to survive. Okay, so we'll fight in the mid lane. Nothing really happening currently. You see the game's actually pretty even at the moment, so it could still, there's a lot of things that could happen here. It seems like the Echo kind of, he's pretty fed, he has 4 kills. He also died, of course, 5 times, so that's a bit bad. Nunu also has 2 kills. Caitlyn is looking pretty good. Just give me a second. So Caitlyn is also getting pretty fed. She's buying a Hurricane right now. So this is kind of good in terms of the game plan with your comp. The Nunu and the Lulu to buff up the Caitlyn. If Caitlyn is fed, this comp works really well. So this is kind of good. However, you didn't really help Caitlyn reach this point, so that's kind of, should have really focused on the bot lane a lot more. Or just in ganking in general, because currently it's 17 minutes in game and you've done 1 gank, and that's really not enough as an early game jungler like Kindred. You really want to basically kind of constantly be ganking. Clear your jungle a bit, go back to ganking. Clear your jungle a bit, go back to ganking. Again, shamelessly plugging for my other videos that I made of me playing Kindred. So just take a look at them and kind of see what I'm doing, where the situations are, where I focus on farming or where I focus on ganking. Obviously there are also mistakes I make in these games, but overall I think it would be a good idea to take a look at that. So, a bit. Okay, so steal a bit of a camp, it's a good idea. Mid lane is meanwhile fighting. Okay, let's take a look at that again. You got kill. So let's go back here. Okay, so you go to steal the Wraith camp here. And meanwhile, we'll take a look at this fight. Oh, Echo just deletes the Sona. It's really nice. And then he gets caught by Rengar and Morgana. So, I mean, I think he could have probably just ran to help him here. I mean, it seems like Echo is destroying them on his own with his ultimate by hitting it. But I mean, why are you doing Wraiths here? You could have... I mean, you have to remember that this fight is going on for a bit now. Look at this, when it starts, when Echo starts fighting here. Echo starts fighting, so now you see, you could have seen the exclamation mark, exclamation point, above Echo's head, and this is the first point where you could have ran to help him. Then here, you definitely should have gone to help him. I mean, this running this way doesn't take that long. I mean, you can even go here and jump over the wall, so you should really, really help your Echo here. This is maybe also something to do with just map awareness. Maybe you were kind of focusing, if you focus on yourself, maybe you weren't looking at, weren't even looking at the Echo mid. But that's really something you should look at and always have an awareness of. So Echo hits a really nice ultimate here, and okay, there he does. I mean, he does survive, so I guess so it's not horrible, but really you could have also helped him here. So here you can pick up the kill on Morgana pretty easily. You can just Q here, and if you Q over here, she should be in range to get Q'd by you. So let's see what you do. I don't think this flash was necessary. I think you could have easily gotten the kill by just using your Q, and if that hadn't worked, you could have still flashed. Again, not horrible. You got the kill, but again, this was mostly Echo destroying them. So go back to farming. Something that actually should notice at this point is that I think you have done this camp maybe 1 or 2 times in the entire video so far. So you really kind of want to have clear your jungle as efficiently as possible. Especially if you're not focusing on ganking that much, there's really no reason why your jungle should basically be up 24/7. There are kind of some situations where you basically were just kind of wasting time, or essentially, like for example doing scuttle crabs when you already have a ward standing here. It's not really that important, and scuttle crab gives less gold than a camp like this, so it may be more important to clear that. Again, debatable, because scuttle crab is pretty good to have and also gives a lot, also gives gold as well. Okay, so okay, we got a team fight here. So let's take a look at this fight and see what's going on. Okay, so to start here, so start fighting. Okay, so let's take a look at what's happening here. So we have Yasuo over here getting buffed up by the Morgana shield and going in on the Caitlyn. Caitlyn who's focusing the scuttle crab for some reason. So that's very interesting. I don't know why Caitlyn is focusing the scuttle crab instead of just attacking over here. Caitlyn is also kind of out of position because she's gonna get jumped on by the Rengar now. Okay, so Rengar goes on Echo instead. That's nice to have. Lulu is gonna go down here. Okay, so now you're coming to enter the fight. So pop your W, go in. Let's see. Yep. Okay. Again, auto attack reset with your E. Okay, you got the kill here. All these fights is good, but it's always kind of messy. So there you go. You got killed here before you could ult because of the Sona ultimate. Again, this wasn't horribly played, obviously, but it also wasn't really you also didn't do anything particularly well. Sorry, but have to put it that way, because for example, again here, not using the auto attack okay, you actually did. Okay, sorry. Then you could probably you should probably let's see, look at this. Your ward trinket is currently on is not on cooldown, so you could in this small second where Yasuo was standing in this brush, could have quickly placed a ward in there. There's something that you it's kind of, again, it's kind of an quote-unquote advanced thing to do, but again, all these small things add up. So overall, you played this fight pretty well. You got double kill, died afterwards, traded 1-for-1, helped Caitlyn survive against the Yasuo, which is also kind of what we said was kind of your goal. You're not really gonna be the frontline diver as Kindred most of the time, so you can just try to protect your Caitlyn. So do so, get ulted by him. So what I mean is, so here in this second, if you're fast enough, you can just place a ward in here, then auto attack. But again, this is also kind of what I mean with the skirmisher saber. If you smited him with the skirmisher saber, the red smite, then he would have been revealed, and he probably would have already been dead because of the true damage dot. And you also would have taken 20% less damage, and 20% less damage might have been enough to then protect you or give you enough time to at least survive until the Sona ultimate ends. See here, if you took 20%, if you had taken 20% less damage from Yasuo, then you might have been able to survive this and use your own ultimate. So again, 20% may not seem that much, but in reality it really adds up. Okay, so, but overall, again, it wasn't really badly played, the fight. Boots of Swiftness, good idea on Kindred. I really like to get them pretty early, so I usually get my Blood Razor and then buy Boots of Swiftness. This is because, again, as Kindred you want to have a lot of early pressure, and also because Kindred's base movement speed I think is not that high, at least it doesn't feel that high. So it's nice to have the extra movement speed, so you can farm more efficiently and also gank more efficiently. Okay, so go into your respawn. 10 seconds. Okay, so let's follow on you again. So again, so run down. Just jump over the wall to run away. It's probably a good idea. Nunu's a bit out of position. Might die here. It's a nice. Okay, so you're here to defend the Nunu. I don't think this is a good idea, or it's a pretty bad idea, because if you look at the map currently, what do we have? We have Ilulu support mid lane, Caitlyn in base, Echo in base. If we look at your team's kills, your team overall has 17 kills, 11 on them are on Echo and Caitlyn. So that means, apart from the fact that you're fighting 2v5 here, or 2v4 here, you're also fighting with people who aren't really that fat. You're 4-2, that's good, but really, you're not at the point where you can just 1v4 them. So let's see what actually happens here. I suspect you're probably just going to die. Yeah, Rengar waits on the other side. It's also a bit unlucky. The ultimate here is not something that I can say I agree with. You have to remember, Kindred ultimate is an insanely long cooldown. At level 1 here, and even you have a bit of cooldown reduction, I think, probably. At level 1 here, it has a 150 second cooldown, so 2 minutes and 30 seconds. That means that now for 2 minutes and 30 seconds, you're not going to be able to use your ultimate. And if we look at this situation here, you're 1v3, you're low HP, standing next to Rengar. Using ultimate here won't save you. That means that it's better to go down without using the ultimate than going down than using the ultimate and going down anyways. So in this case, this is really just kind of a wasted ultimate. So, and it's way more important to just save it for another team fight where you can save Caitlyn with it. Also, if we go back a little bit here, so I think what you're trying to do here is you're trying to save the Nunu. And this is kind of something about cutting your losses. What I mean is, so Nunu is caught out here. I think you also you pre-made with him, so maybe that's why you wanted to save him. But you also pre-made with here the Echo, I think. Yeah, with the Echo. But really, why try to help this Nunu? This Nunu is dead. He's extremely dead. He has 3 people coming for him. He's pretty low HP. He has even 4 people coming for him. That means that in this situation, it's better to say, okay, I'm going to get away, and what's going to happen is Nunu is going to die. Doesn't matter, we're 4v5. Instead, what happens is you go in, and you're probably going to die for this. So jump over the wall, waste your ultimate, so you're not going to have it up in the next team fight. Oh, actually, okay, this is actually going pretty well. Maybe the Lulu got it. Okay, now, and this is kind of the same. This kind of the 1-by-1 thing. Okay, so Nunu gets caught, or he's going to get caught. So you go over there to help him, knowing that you're basically dead. If you do, then Lulu says, "Oh, my team got caught. My Kindred is top lane. I need to help her." So she goes in and she dies as well. So what could have happened here is Nunu could have died, you could have all ran bot and just taken the Drake. It's up in 17 seconds, so, and then it would be a 4v5 and you could have taken the Drake because they're all top lane. Instead what happens is 3 people die and the enemy team, okay, I don't think they're gonna do Baron because again Yasuo doesn't build any HP, so they don't really have anyone to tank it. They may try for it, I don't think so. But again, instead of just getting basically a free kill, not a free kill, instead of trading Nunu for a Drake, you're just dying with 4 people and just going 1-by-1. So, just a small, again, team fight. Yasuo fighting with Echo, who's pretty fed. Wind wall, nice wind wall. Echo, I think, is probably going to escape here. Ah, no, the Rengar might get him. Okay, no. Okay, that was pretty, yeah, they really overstayed here, but again, this is kind of an enemy mistake. Want to focus on what you're doing. So, so again, this is kind of what I mean with the item is extremely expensive. For the same price of getting the Bilgewater Cutlass and the Recurve Bow, this is 1,650 gold, this is 1,000 gold, together 2,650 gold. For just 2,600 gold, you can get yourself a Hurricane, and instead of still having to wait for 700 or really 800 gold to finish the Blade of the Rune King and get the extra 50 gold for the Bilgewater Cutlass. Combine that with the fact that Hurricane is probably even a better item DPS wise on Kindred. It's really not a good idea to go Blade of the Rune King. Okay, so let's a bit more. Okay, so and because the enemy team over chased here and the Echo got another good ultimate off, they didn't actually take the Drake, so that's pretty good. But again, this is something that's really, again, an enemy mistake. This is against, if you were playing against better players, they would have simply taken the Drake, and the only reason they didn't punish this mistake is because the enemy team did a mistake. But obviously, you don't want to play in a way that means I'm going to win if the enemy doesn't punish my mistakes. You want to play in a way where you can say, I'm not making any mistakes. Obviously, this is almost impossible to do, even for pro players to never make any mistakes. But this is kind of the goal. You don't want to play in a way that you get punished, that you can get punished for. You want to play in a way, again, okay, yeah, Nunu consumed it, so you can't really smite that, because consume, it deals 1000 damage, and your smite deals way less. 640. So kind of understandable. I'm not sure you even tried to smite it. So, and again, you're kind of ignoring farming. I mean, the thing is, you actually have a lot more farm than Rengar. You even have more farm than the Sona Mid, but that's not really a testament of of 70 farm at 20 minutes, at 22 minutes being amazing farm, but more a testament of Rengar farming really badly and Sona farming even worse. Because I mean, at 22 minutes, you could have 200 farm, and obviously no one here is close to that. So again, we see the entire jungle is up. Of course, it's important to group with your team and not to constantly just be AFK farming. But especially earlier on at 16 minutes or so, you don't have to be grouped with your team all the time. And sometimes your team wasn't really even grouped, and instead you could have just farmed your jungle a bit more and had more items. Okay, so try to siege middle here. The enemy team is trying to surrender, probably because they're tired of getting one shot by the Echo. Gets out. Okay, so now the team fight is starting here. That Sona ult looks like it's going to miss. Yep, okay, it's hitting the Nunu. Okay, so you're standing here on the flank. This is again kind of a weird team fight because Caitlyn's bot lane, Yasuo is top. So it's a 4v4. You're in a really good spot here, especially because the Morgana is so low. You got hit by the returning Echo Q, which deals a lot of damage, especially since the Echo has 9 kills. So you can just pick up the free kill from the side here. It's nice to have. And also take that one and okay, back off. But again, this would have been another situation where you can imagine if you had Hurricane here, standing from the side, you could hit at least 2 people with it. So really, Hurricane is a great item on Kindred, and you usually want to get it. So that was pretty nice, but again, enemy team really overstayed there, or I don't know why they really went in. They were really greedy to kill the Echo, but forgot that, or I guess ignored the fact that Echo is extremely strong and it's just escaping. You see here, his passive gives him a lot of movement speed when he procs it on a champion, so it's extremely hard to chase down an Echo. Okay, so I think it went. Okay, so here, okay, get the free kill. That's good. You can probably take down the turret now. Okay, so tank it a bit. Echo is deleting people. Okay, was a bit unlucky. So Rengar is coming from the side here. It was obviously extremely greedy by Nunu to chase this deep here. You should probably just back off at this point. Caitlyn is in base. Yasuo is miss. And you're 2v3, so you'll probably just go back here. Should probably still be able to escape. Yeah, this is a pretty... okay, let's see. Yeah, you're probably safe. Yes. Okay, so just get away. Okay, go back. And probably buy the Blade Rune King. Yeah, okay. But we see here that at 23 minutes you have the Blade the Rune King and the Tracker's Knife, and you're really still not that insanely strong, especially against their team. They have basically, look at the HP items they have. They have a Phage. They have a Rod of Ages. And they have, I guess, a Catalyst and Learned Torment here. And that's it. That's really not the HP stacking that you want to get a Blade Rune King against. In this case, it's probably better to just get a different item. You can get Yomu's Ghostblade, would probably be a good idea because the enemy team is so squishy and you were kind of fed. You got 5 kills. Derek's Gage would be another good idea. I wouldn't really go with more Morpheus or the Hex Drinker here in this case because they don't have that much magic damage. They have Sona and Morgana, and really Rengar, Yasuo and Tristana are a way bigger threat. You could also just get a Derek's Gage, or you could just get the Hurricane. Probably be a good idea because the enemy team is kind of ignoring you, or should be kind of ignoring you in this fight, just because Echo is so fed, and you also have the Caitlyn, and you have a lot of peel with the Lulu and Nunu, so you can really just go with the Hurricane, and you're still going to be pretty safe. Okay, so focus back on the. Okay, so small fight against the Yasuo, who's pretty overextended here. So chasing him down, see if you can get him. Oh, that looks good. Okay. Is this the clutch escape? It is the clutch escape. Or is it? Okay, let's see here. Sona tries to kill the Caitlyn. You're standing... Where are you? Ah, you're here? Okay. You can probably pick up the Yasuo, right? Okay, so wait a second, this is a bit weird. So, there's a bug, I think. Okay, so if we look at this, then I'm kind of confused. Okay, you're doing the Grom. Okay, yeah, this is completely fine, or not really completely fine. I mean, look at the map, or not really. Yeah, I mean, you know that the enemy team is somewhere in their jungle, and currently there are 4 people surrounding you. You know that Yasuo is probably going to die, but I mean, this is pretty greedy to do the Gromp here. I mean, you could just as well die in a few seconds here. If Tristana decides to go this way, and Sona does the same, and Rengar and Morgana, they all collapse on you and you're dead. Your team can't help you really. Echo is in the Dragon Pit. These 3 are fighting with or chasing Yasuo, so I'm not just sure about this. I mean, it's possible. I mean, in this case, they probably don't punish you for it, but that doesn't mean that because you didn't get punished this time, that you won't maybe get punished the next time you do a play like this. Okay, so let's keep watching. I'm not sure why you're not going to kill the Yasuo right here. It's really a free kill. Maybe your team told you in voice chat that they got him or something. I mean, but they obviously don't. So I don't know. I mean, this would have really been a free kill. Maybe you wanted to help your Caitlyn instead. So let's look at that. So okay, so you finish this. Finish this camp. And it looks like you want to maybe help the Yasuo and think that he's dead, and then decide not to. But still, even at this point, you could still decide. Okay, you saw the Tristana, so maybe you just focus on her. But see, at this point, you could just go here, Q over the wall, and then you're in range to auto take him, and it would have been a free kill. Okay, maybe you're going maybe to help the Caitlyn. Caitlyn is already dead. Gets CC'd by the Sona. And then see the Morgana coming over here. Just take the free kill. Get hit by the Morgana Q. So you're kind of just stuck standing still. And then help out your teammate. Probably get the kill on the Lou. Okay, yeah, that's pretty good. Again, I don't know why you didn't take the Yasuo. Maybe you didn't notice that he was standing there or something. I guess it's not horrible. I'm interested what you're getting. I think there's something you mentioned in the comment on Reddit about buying the Black Cleaver. I can't say I'm a huge fan. It's not a bad item because of the fact that Kindred passive scales really well with armor penetration. It's not really a bad item, but the problem is kind of Kindred scales really well with attack speed. And you don't really. It's not a horrible item. It's kind of Black Cleaver is not a bad item, but the fact of the matter is that there are simply other builds that are better. For example, the Blood Razor into Hurricane build is better than buying Blood Razor into Blade of the Rune King, even though Blade of the Rune King is not a bad item on Kindred. It's just that Hurricane is better than that. For example, instead of the Black Cleaver, there are probably also other items. For example, you could get a Yomu's Ghostblade. Yomu's Ghostblade would be a really good idea against this enemy team, as I already mentioned, because they're all extremely squishy. They don't have any tank on their team. So that means that Yomu's is an extremely strong item in this case. And Yomu's is especially strong in a game like this, because, for example, this fight just here was extremely messy, and there were basically multiple smaller fights, and especially in these small skirmishes, Yomu's is really a great item. So So again, this is kind of the case. Black Cleaver isn't that horrible. The problem with Black Cleaver is that Kindred doesn't really scale with AD, and she doesn't scale with cooldown reduction. She doesn't scale with cooldown reduction because your Q cooldown while in your W is always 2 seconds, no matter how much CDR you have. So CDR is not that important on Kindred. AD is also not that important on Kindred because your abilities have a pretty bad scaling. For example, here you get plus 26 for your 128 AD, plus 51. This really pretty low scalings on all of your abilities. So AD isn't that important. Health is of course nice to have, but if you want a defensive item, it's probably better to just get a Sterex, or in this case I would get a Yomus. If the enemy team had more AP damage and not something like Sona Mid, something with a bit more burst, and maybe someone who's not 3 and 8, I would probably just get a Hex Drinker in this case, on top of the Hurricane earlier. Hurricane is also really strong for mid-game strength, and also for mid-game and late game. It's a really strong item. Yomus is probably better for the early game because of the active, and Hurricane is a lot stronger late and mid-game. So Nunu gets caught here. You're waiting here a bit. Okay, so pushing mid. This is again really weird play, because your Nunu just got caught in the enemy jungle, and you saw the enemy team, or you thought the enemy team was going to go, I don't know, I guess to Baron, but you know the enemy team is somewhere around in the jungle. You see Tristana right here, you see Morgana right here, and you still decide to go mid. I mean, I would expect you to die here, actually, from the situation. I think maybe you can just run away this way, but again, this is again a play that could be punished really hard. Okay, so we look at this. So you try to kill the Morgana, get exhausted, so you can't really do that much. Do they get you? Okay, you ult again. This is another case where this is really, to be honest, no. Okay, so the thing is kind of course you're winning these fights, but the reason you're winning these fights is really not, to be honest, to be completely blunt, the reason you're winning these fights is not you. The reason you're winning these fights is because Echo is insanely fed and destroying the enemy team. For example, in this case here, what happened was, so it starts off with this situation here. Maybe you just went mid because you thought they were going to do Baron. That's kind of a good idea. If you think that you can contest Baron anyways, but I mean it's 4v5, you can still fight the Baron. So you go to mid, and you see 3 of them here on the minimap. So this is the point where you should say, okay, I don't want to be anywhere near here, and you should immediately run down here, run to your Lulu, who can speed you up, and run to your Caitlyn. So go here and farm mid, just let them get closer to you. This is extremely greedy. Okay, so go on the Morgana. You might have been able to kill the Morgana here if you didn't get exhausted. But again, this is kind of a situation where you get caught really hard. So use your ultimate. It's actually a good ultimate, because when you're using ultimate, you're basically stalling the game for 4 seconds. That means that you give your team, you give your Echo 4 seconds time. This actually is pretty helpful because Echo is also 4 seconds behind, I think. Where he was 4 seconds ago. So this was where Echo was when you started your ult, and now that it ends, or that it ends soon, he's right here, and he's here to deal damage. So again, this wasn't a horrible ult, but the fact that you were here, you were extremely out of position. That means that again, the reason why this play works is that Echo is so fed. Because look at this, half HP from 1E basically. And then misses his Q, but probably doesn't matter. You got the kill here on the Morgana, so that was good. But in this kind of a story of, okay, so what happens here in this fight? Okay, Echo flashed over the wall, probably because he's Echo. Okay, Caitlyn kills the Yasuo in a 1v1. Oh, that's pretty good for you. And I think Caitlyn's probably dead. Yeah. Oh, no. Oh, okay. Oh god. Oh god. Oh boy. Yeah. I mean, this is kind of a clown fiesta, if you want to call it that. Okay. Yeah, this is a bit... Okay. Oh god. Oh god. Oh boy. Okay. Okay, and now it's also a story of Caitlyn just destroying them. Okay, so... Keep going here. So, your goal should probably be, at this point, I mean, you're extremely far ahead. Mostly it's Echo and the Caitlyn, but it doesn't matter. So you should really try to just... You can siege with the Caitlyn, or you can try to force objectives maybe. Kindred is very strong at taking down Baron. The Nunu Blood Boil helps with that a lot, and a fat Caitlyn obviously isn't a bad thing to have when taking down Baron. So you're probably able to force Baron as well, or just take the free Drake here. See what you decide to do. You should definitely group up with the Caitlyn. There's a lot of cases of just people getting caught out, so that's a bit. Okay, you can still fight here. So let's rewind. Okay, so let's look at this small skirmish here and see at what you're doing and what you do correctly and what you could do better in this fight. Okay, so skip right here. Okay, so the Lulu just got caught. They used the Yasuo ultimate, and now Rengar is starting to chase and using his own ultimate and going after the Nunu. So, and you're here to back them up. You also saw that Morgana was mid, but she was pretty low. Okay, so yeah, let's go here. Okay, so the fight starts. So Rengar jumps on top of him. Okay, so this is actually a pretty good situation because again, these guys are extremely squishy. So you as Kindred, because of the Fate you bought, actually have more HP than the Rengar, and you have basically really similar HP to the Yasuo. So and they jumped on the Nunu, who has a lot of armor. So it's they're going to take a while to take him down. So and they kind of tunnel vision on the Nunu here, really try to focus him down. So so again, you're standing still. You're not kiting. If you kited here, again, you would have survived. This is kind of the second time that you're just standing still. And if you're standing still, what you're just doing is you're basically just doing a DPS test. You're basically just saying, okay, when we're standing still and just hitting each other, who can win the fight? You're not trying to basically outplay the opponent or kite them or doing anything of that sort. You're just saying, okay, let's do a DPS test. Okay, so again, E auto attack reset. Take him down. You're standing still. Basically, what you could have done instead in this fight, again, to make it another example why you should be kiting. Okay, so again, fight starts. Jumps in. So okay, now you auto attack him. Okay, so that means you auto attack. Oh god, I can't pause again. This is really annoying. So again, during this time, what you could again do is you could auto attack him, then you could move a bit forward, auto attack him again, move a bit forward, and so on and so on. And here again, you're even queuing into him, kind of. I mean, it was a bit unlucky that he survived, and I think he leveled up during this fight. Yeah, he's level 14, and then yeah, he also levels up. But again, this is a situation. This just to repeat a few of the points. Skirmisher Saber would have probably saved you there if you smited the Yasuo instead. Then, with Yomu's Ghostblade and Hurricane, again, this would be a great situation for Hurricane. You could have hit both of them at the same time instead of just one of them.
if you had kited better, you could have also gotten them. Okay, but as we can see, the game is going near the end. But again, it's kind of a story of, even though you're 8-5, the main work was done by the Caitlyn and the Echo in this case. Obviously, this is not a horrible thing. Obviously, there's no shame in getting or in basically getting carried. I mean, you're not even getting carried. You're not doing horrible. You're 8-5. That's not bad. But it's kind of it's kind of doing a lot of plays that could be punished very easily. So, and if you were playing against better opponents, you'd probably not be 8-5, but have a lot more depth instead. But again, okay, I think the enemy team is probably going to surrender. I think, because I don't see how you could push all these turrets and the Nexus down in 40 seconds. So that's interesting. Okay, let's see what happens here. Okay, try to take down the Rengar and get caught, but it doesn't really matter. We could have probably just turned on the Sona here. I don't know. Okay, Rengar tries to go in. Yeah. Ultimate was kind of wasted here because the Echo activated Zhonya's, but it's if you don't know if his Zhonya's is on cooldown or something like that, it's kind of it's easy to just forget about these cooldowns. So that's not really a horrible thing, but you should kind of remember that things like that exist. Also, oh, it's actually not taking 30 minutes. Okay, kind of have to remember things like that. So